Okay, today we're going to talk about air pressure. So first, what is air? So air is not just an empty space. There are lots of things in our air, different kinds of molecules, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, oxygen. It's not just nothing. There are a lot of things in our air. Can you feel air pressure? Okay, so if you have ever been on an airplane, if you have ever gone up a mountain driving, if you've ever been swimming and gone deep down to the bottom of the pool, your ears may start to hurt or you may feel a little uncomfortable. That is air pressure. So yes, you can feel air pressure. But what is it? It is the weight of all the air in the atmosphere pressing on Earth. You may also hear it called atmospheric pressure. Uh-oh. Let's go out of that. Sorry. Differences in air pressure. So air pressure changes with the elevation or how high you're going, and also when air warms up or cools down. Okay, so how high or low you're going, and as your air gets warm and cool. You can see over here, warm air rises and cool air falls. So you can see here, and that's how air is always moving. Warm air is always rising and cool air is always lowering. That's kind of how air moves, and air moving is what's causing our wind, okay? You may be familiar with the warm air rising if you have ever maybe been in a house that has a first and a second story, and it's a little warmer as you go up because of that. Okay? Low pressure. When air rises, it leaves behind an area of low pressure because the upward moving air is not pressing down so hard on the surface. So that air is rising, so there's not as much pressure. High pressure is when the air is sinking back down and it is pushing down harder. And you'll see that H. You've probably seen that when you've watched the weather. You see that on the on their weather forecast. They'll have the H and the L, and the H is always blue and the L is always red. Okay. There are many areas of high and low pressure on the Earth's surface, like we talked about, because of uneven heating, right? How the sun is putting out heat on the Earth it's not doing it the same all over the Earth. We're not all feeling the same amount of sun everywhere on the Earth. So since it's heated unevenly, that air is moving around. And it's high pressure and low pressure, and that, like I said, is how winds are formed. So the greater the difference between high and low pressure, the higher the wind speed is. And this has a great effect on our weather because as you've probably noticed before, you know, if a storm is to go by and it's very windy, moves the storm a little faster, and there's so much that goes along with that. Okay, highs and lows. You may have seen this on a map if you've watched a weather forecast also. Pressure is different all over the world. And the way that they move from day to day causes changes in the weather. So, you know, we see that our weather changes from today, this morning, to this afternoon, and on and on. Okay. So low pressure are areas of low pressure at the center, and they usually bring that lousy weather we talked about, wet, cloudy, ugly weather. Okay, and that has that light air also. So low pressure, light air, lousy weather is how I think about it. Those are warm, that is some warm air masses. They're lighter, they rise, they have more humidity, or they can hold more humidity. So warm air is usually that low pressure. That warm air is usually what causes that rain. Okay, high pressure. They have the highest pressure at the center. They bring sunnier and drier weather. So we say high pressure is heavy air, and that's happy weather. And that's usually that cold air. It's denser. All those air particles are really close together. It does sink because it's heavier. It holds less humidity, less of that water. So the cold air is usually your high pressure area. And so you can see this low, lousy, high, happy. It's heavier, it's going down, it's low, it's lighter, that helps me remember it. This may be very familiar to you. As you can see here, we've got high pressure, low pressure, high pressure. These are some fronts that we're going to talk about. There are so much that goes into the weather. Like I've told you guys, watching weather forecasts each day is really going to help you. If you pay attention to this, it's going to help you learn what we have to for weather. Okay, we measure air pressure with a barometer. Like I've shown y'all, it's so cool to me. You can see that it's stormy, rain. The weather's going to change, fair. I just love this instrument. I think it's very cool. And so the air pressure, really, really determines what our weather's going to be. Okay, measuring air pressure, that barometric pressure. Like I said, during hurricanes, you'll hear them talk about what the pressure is in those storms. And that low pressure, the lower it gets, the worse it is normally. Okay, so that is a quick PowerPoint. Remember, we've got a lot of notes that go along with pressure systems. So make sure you're looking over those and you're understanding that vocabulary that goes along with it. And if you have any questions, let me know.